Welcome to the Gavel. I'm Terry Ikumi. Now, while it was expected that Parliament would embark on its annual 6-week recess this week, lawmakers pushed that to next week, sitting for long hours this week after adjourning on Tuesday in honor of a member of the House of Representatives who passed away. Now, let's begin with the House of Representatives, where a bill to amend the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board Act to extend the validity of JAMB results was passed through second reading. Also, the House resolved to investigate the attack on the Kuje Custodial Center, as well as directed the sale of 5 power plants of the Niger Delta Power Holding Company to be put on hold. The House of Representatives on Tuesday suspended plenary over the recent death of a lawmaker representing Ego-Ikpoba-Okha Federal Constituency in Edo State, Honorable Judy Dehen. Until his death, the lawmaker was a member of the House of Representatives under the platform of the People's Democratic Party. The adjournment of plenary was in accordance with the National Assembly's tradition. Wednesday's plenary in the House of Representatives was presided over by the Deputy Speaker, as the House considered an urgent motion on the need to prevent terrorists from overrunning Takum and Usa local government areas of Taraba State. Honorable Remanu Deshawulu wants the military to deploy more troops to the area to dislodge the terrorists and restore normalcy.
The House knows that terrorists who murdered 6 soldiers of the 93 Battalion of the Nigerian Army in Takum local government area of Taraba State have continued the unabated destruction of settlements in Takum and Usa local government area of Taraba State. The House further notes that in the last week from 5th to 12th of July, well over 30 people have been killed. The House further notes that in the latest attacks, the terrorists were led innocent and defenseless people and they moved freely from Takum to Usa, shooting at motorists and pedestrians. The House also knows that the killings and destructions have become daily occurrences, and in several of the communities that terrorists attack, crops in the field, houses, including places of worship, are sometimes set ablaze. The House is informed that the terrorists invade the area in large numbers, and simultaneously attack several villages and settlements at the same time. The House is concerned that these attacks have kept occurring without any strong, coordinated, and consistent intervention from the security agencies, especially since the soldiers were killed by bandits and the commanding officer of the 93 Battalion abducted. Worried that, given the proximity of the area to the Ambazonian versus Cameroonian conflict, the bandits will in no distant future internationalize the crisis, as well as likely easily link and collaborate with Boko Haram cells across the Cameroonian border.
The House is also urging the intelligence agencies and the operational security agencies to identify the routes and camps of the terrorists and their local collaborators and bring them to book.
Hunters around our communities.
The House also considered and adopted a bill to establish Nigeria Hunters and Forest Security Service to prevent, combat forest crimes and enhance security within Nigerian forests.
There could be proper coordination of the hunters around our communities, and having this legislative framework, funding will also be possible, and organizing them will become, more national in such a way that, we will be in a better position. Communities and states will be in a better position to properly protect their citizens from, attacks from the forest and so on and so forth.
I don't know the role this one will play vis-a-vis what we have now in existence, what they call forest rangers, something like that.
The duties of the forest guards might not exactly be the same with the hunters, who are strictly there for protection purposes.
Isn't they want to protect our forests?
Sir, their duty primarily is to ensure that what we have in the forest, or the entire space of the forest, are clearly demarcated, and the content is known. And if there's going to be any activity in the forest, you have to take permission
from
before you carry out. Yes, that's what they do, sir. If you have to fell trees in the forest, they have to approve before you can do it. There are a lot of activities that you need to do in the forest that you need the approval of the existing guards. Their job is not security per se, but they do get information about what is happening in the forest, which they now pass over to security to come and combat. Now, what we are having here is going to be a combat-ready body that will help, to challenge strictly security issues. Their duty is not to number the trees we have in the forest and to give approval for use or not to use such trees. That is part of the major part of the responsibility of the existing body.
Meanwhile, the House adopted a report on a bill that seeks to collate the biodata of all food vendors in the country for easy traceability of food poisoning and mishandling cases, as well as to meet up with international standards of food safety and hygiene standards.
Thank you.
On Thursday, lawmakers considered an urgent motion urging the Joint Examinations and Matriculations Board to release a schedule for the mop-up examination.
The House is worried that several private tertiary institutions have commenced post-JAMB aptitude tests with a view to conducting admissions for the 2022-23 session. The House is further worried that failure to timely conduct the mop-up examinations for the candidates that were affected by JAMB's negligence, numbering over 3,000 across the Federation, will negatively impact on such candidates, and they stand the chance of missing out on the current admission exercise. Now, the House resolves, 1, to direct the Joint Admission and Matriculation Board to immediately conduct mop-up examination for the affected candidates. 2, to mandate the House Committee on Tertiary Education to invite the officials of JAMB with a view to resolving the current issue and all other related matters connected with technical hitches witnessed by candidates during the examinations, during exam processes, and report back to the House within 7 days for further legislative action.
The House also passed through second reading a bill to amend the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board Act to extend the validity of JAMB results.
When you look at the number of students that apply for university every year and the number that gets in, it is definitely not their fault. So why should they be penalized? Everywhere in the world, there is no such exam that is valid for 1 year. SAT is valid forever. Scholastic aptitude test is valid forever. But most universities across the world will take a maximum 5 years. That, okay, if your result is 5 years, so most people would have to go and take it again, but it's not by law. The GMAT is valid for 5 years. GRE is valid for 5 years. Here in Nigeria, JAMB is valid for 1 entry, and if you don't get in, you repeat it again. It is totally unfair. There are a lot of children in this country whose parents are struggling to put their children through school. These children go through this education, take this exam, pass it, then the following year, because of no reason, they have to look for money again to repeat the exam. We should not, continuing this way likens us as a society to a ritualist who will sacrifice a human being for money. Why should our youth, our children, be sacrificed on the altar of revenue generation by JAMB?
Meanwhile, the House also considered a motion on the urgent need to stop the privatization of 5 power plants of the Niger Delta Power Holding Company.
Disturbed that the current timing of the privatization, even if it's not approved by the prospective shareholders, may not enable the greatest financial value due to the current commercial technical considerant in the industry associated with poor transmission, distribution, capacity, underpayment, and liquidity. Informed that the National Economic Council on 24th, 2021, in its 100 meetings, recommended that the sale of NPLC assets be discouraged, as discourse are dysfunctional, while the account of the company has to be properly audited to ensure the best corporate governance practice as prelude to consideration of for the consideration. Regret that The interests of the shareholders and national economy will be jeopardized if urgent action is not taken to prevent the BPE from selling the asset under irregular procurement process. Resolved to urge the House, 1, to direct BPE to stop procurement process of selling the 5 NDPHD's power generating companies until due process is strictly complied with. 2, warn the Director General BPE to desist from any act to facilitate the sales of generation power plants until duly authorized by the shareholders in formal meeting as stated by the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020.
And weeks after terrorists attacked the Kuje Custodial Center, lawmakers are worried that public peace and safety could still be threatened.
Recall that on Tuesday, 5th July 2022, terrorists attacked the Nigerian Correctional Service Medium Security Custodial Center, Kuje, Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. Further recall that on Wednesday, 6 July 2022, the Honorable Minister of Defense, Major General Bashir Salihi Magashi, retired, while on assessment visit to the scene of the incident, stated that over 600 inmates, including 64 Boko Haram suspects, escaped out of a total number of 994 inmates accommodated in the custodial center. Aware that the President, on the same day, Wednesday, 6 July 2022, expressed disappointment over the embarrassment development and directed a comprehensive investigation to address the situation. Disturbed that the development makes the country, and in particular the Federal Capital Territory, under fear of attack, risk, intimidation, and all sorts of threats in view of the widespread of the escaped criminal across the country. Cognizant that the federal government commits enormous resources toward ensuring the realization of public security and welfare of the people. Worried that the Kuje Custodial Center attack and its terrible outcome, along with several related crimes against the national security, are on the increase, despite the stakeholder commitment towards equipping the national security, enforcement, and intelligence community with significant appropriation of funds. Regret that the public and safety will continue to be threatened if urgent action is not being taken to address the situation. Resolved to urge the House to, 1, mandate the House Committee on National Security and Intelligence to lead the committees on Interior, Reformatory Institution, Defense, Army, Air Force, Navy, and Police to carry out a thorough investigation on the causes, dimension, and effect on the unfortunate Kuje Custodial Center attack. 2, appeal to federal government to implement the laudable recommendations of the National Security Summit organized by the leadership of the House of Representatives in 2021 with broad national stakeholder participation. 2, to submit a comprehensive report with adequate recommendation to the House within 4 weeks.
Welcome back to the Gavel. Let's turn our attention to the upper chamber. The Senate has passed the Nigerian Startup Bill and is already receiving public commendation for it. The bill is expected to create an enabling environment for technology-enabled startups in Nigeria. Now, the Senate also passed the Electricity Act, empowering states to generate and transmit electricity. Take a listen.
On Tuesday, like the House of Representatives, the Senate adjourned plenary in honor of the late member of the House from Edo State, Honorable Jude Ide. The Senate also observed a minute silence to mourn the deceased before suspending plenary.
May his soul rest in perfect peace.
The Senate on Wednesday enacted a legislation which is expected to provide solutions to the numerous challenges plaguing the electricity sector. The bill, titled the Electricity Act 2001, is expected to ensure stable supply of electricity to all parts of the country.
Protect interests of consumers, ensure stable supply of electricity to all areas of Nigeria by promoting cost-reflective and service-reflective tariff, and ensure gradual elimination of cross-subsidy within a specified time frame.
In addition, the proposed legislation is expected to improve utilization of generated power through investments in new technologies to enhance transmission and distribution of generated power, promote policies to ensure expansion of power transmission networks. Lawmakers voted on each clause and passed the bill through the third reading.
The Senate and the Committee of the Whole considered the report of the Committee on Power on the Electricity Bill 2022. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Thank you.
The chairman of the Senate Committee on Power spoke to journalists on more details of the bill.
One of the novel provisions, as you mentioned here, is the introduction, or rather the expansion or the opening up of the space where state now can generate their own power, transmit and distribute. Any state that have the capacity to do that will now be licensed to do.
The proposed legislation also expands the power of the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission to more effectively regulate the sector, especially holding account companies who breach the terms of the licenses. The Senate has passed the Nigerian Startup Bill 2022 following the consideration of a report by its Committee on ICT and Cybersecurity. Presenting the bill for third reading, the chairman of the committee, Senator Oseni Yakubu, says when established, the council will create and develop an enabling environment for technology-enabled startups in Nigeria.
We held a public hearing on Wednesday, 15 June 2022, where we got about 11 recommendations from different stakeholders. Mr. President, at the end of the day, and having taken into consideration the observations and comments of these relevant stakeholders and made amendments when the committee recommends as follows: that the Senate Committee on ICT and Cybersecurity, which was referred a bill for an act to establish the National Council for Digital Innovation and Entrepreneurship, to provide for the creation and development of an enabling environment for technology-enabled startups in Nigeria and for related matters 2022 SB 966, having considered same, report favorably thereon and recommend that the Senate do pass the bill as amended.
The upper chamber also passed through second reading a bill to provide for the ease of doing business to ensure transparency, efficiency and productivity in Nigeria. Meanwhile, the Senate has confirmed the nomination of Mr. Joe Ohiani as Director General of the Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission, ICRC. The nominee's confirmation follows the consideration of the report of its Committee on Works. Presenting the report during Wednesday's plenary session, the chairman of the committee, Senator Adamu Aliero, says the committee recommends that after careful and diligent assessment of the nominee's extensive resume, performance during the screening exercise, knowledge, experience and character, he is suitable for confirmation as the Director General of the Infrastructure Regulatory Commission.
Will the Senate approve the nomination of Joe Aniku Michael Ohiani for appointment as substantive Director General CEO for the Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
Our final report is on the oversight visit by the Senate Committee on FCT to the Federal Capital Development Authority, as well as the Senate Committee on ICT's public hearing on the Industrial Training Fund Bill.
The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Mr. Mohammed Bello, says over 21.029 billion naira will be needed to complete the rehabilitation of the National Assembly Complex Phase 1 project. He stated this during an oversight tour of some projects in the capital city by members of the Senate Committee on FCT on Thursday. Mr. Bello listed other priority projects embarked upon by the administration to include the rehabilitation of the Federal Secretariat Complex and construction of the Southern Parkway from the Christian Center to the Ring Road in the FCT. President Muhammadu Buhari had approved 37 billion naira for the renovation of the National Assembly Complex in the 2020 budget of the Federal Capital Development Administration.
For us, it is very significant and important that you are able to see all these projects actually the way they are, because that way you will appreciate how beneficial the support you have granted us over the years through guidance, through interface with your committee, and above all, through your approvals of our budgets over the years.
The committee is ready to collaborate with you to bring to the barest minimum cases of kidnapping, banditry, killings, and all other vices that are currently rearing its ugly head here in the FCT. Also, we've seen areas of traffic congestions and things of that nature. And those are the things that we want to also try and understand and to see how we can better facilitate and assist the FCT in implementing some of their program.
Meanwhile, the Industrial Training Fund and other stakeholders in the labour sector have declared that Nigeria should make the best out of a huge rising population through a skilled workforce. The desire of ITF and other critical stakeholders in the labour sector to have productivity-driven skilled population came to the fore during a public hearing on a bill seeking the amendment of the Industrial Training Fund Act, organised by the Senate Committee on Industries. The bill principally seeks to widen the scope of operations of a training agency as regards provision of skills training in management for technical and entrepreneurial development in the public and private sectors of the economy.
Technology has been changing the landscape of the workforce globally at a rapid pace, and the World Bank's group, as the World Bank Development Report from 2019, that the changing nature of work explored how work is evolving as a result of technological advancement and changes, including how these advancements are changing the skill sets of our employees.
In his presentation at the public hearing, the Director General of ITF says amendments being sought through this bill will serve to expand the scope of the agency's operations and enhance its activities.
The need becomes necessary to benchmark global best practices in order to align ourselves with other climes of the world. And this has equally been caused by the huge rising population of our dear country. There is the need to therefore get our act right by ensuring the empaneling of Nigerians with the requisite skills for employability and entrepreneurship.
Other stakeholders like the Trade Union Congress, the Nigeria Union of Teachers, Nigeria Labour Congress, Nigeria Investment Promotion Commission, as well as the Nigeria Association of Small and Medium Enterprises, in their separate presentations, threw their weight behind the amendment bill proposal.
Well, that's it on The Gavel this week. Thanks for your time. Remember to send an email to thegavel@channelstv.com. I'm Terry Ikumi. Goodbye.